Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Journey. This is video number 7 of Project Determination. And I'm determined to get it going. So it's January 30th and I am going to try to trench in my water line to go to the garden. So first things first, I got the tractor and I'm going to go take it over and hook up the plow. I won't tell you how long that took to actually hook up. These things are ridiculous to try to hook up to the tractor because they're kind of slanted. But anyway, I did hook it up and got it over here to the shop. We're going to do a few, basically, as we said in the Army, PMCS. Basically, all you can do is look it over, see if there's any damage, and repair it if you can, or if it really needs it, and then grease everything up, get it ready for action. Here I'm just going through and wire wheeling these Zerk fittings, these grease fittings, and there's a few of them here, and I go and after wire wheeling them I go and start to grease them. Some of these are taking grease, some of them aren't. To begin with, there was a problem with my grease gun because it was run out of grease, so I have like 3 of them and it took all 3 before I got one that actually had grease in it. So I greased up those. And then I went and tackled these on each end of the plow, or each part of the plow. And I'm not sure what these are for, but this one here, I can actually grease, and the other one is missing the fitting. So we'll have to tackle that project later. Right now we just got to use this thing. So here's the coulters. We got to go ahead and grease those, grease the axles for them, or the bearings, I guess. So we clean those up real quick. And go ahead and grease this one, and then go ahead and grease the one in the front too. Here's a thing that I've got. One piece of damage here is this crank to be able to adjust it. Looks like it's broken at one point in time, and they re-welded it, and it's all crooked. So it does work, so I'm going to kind of leave that be. But this one right here, this is where the point of the plow, this rear one, it's not really supported. And I don't really like that because if you hit anything, or but definitely if you hit anything, it can bend it, and it looks like it's already bending and may even break in the future. I'd like to be able to do this, but I couldn't figure it out. And right now I just got to go do some work. So if you guys know how to do it, how to adjust this so they can get that back supported, let me know, please. Anyway, moving on to the project at hand. Right here where we dug before, I'm going to go ahead and dig down and expose the pipes. That way I know exactly where they're at. And then go ahead and put my shovel over here. That way I'll know exactly where the pipes are at. The shovel's just kind of a marker. That way if I get going too deep or whatever, I'll know not to drop the plow right there because I don't want to tear up these pipes. And now it's just a matter of starting to plow. And I went through and plowed every which way you can imagine. I plowed forwards, I plowed the reverse direction, I plowed moving over just a little bit, like halfway, everything I could think of, and it wouldn't really go much deeper. I guess if I would have really plowed things really wide, as in start in one area and then plow right next to it, that way it keeps folding the dirt further and further over, which I kind of tried to do, and then go the opposite direction and have it to where it folds it over the opposite direction. And if you do it wide enough, you actually get it to where it trenches out wide enough for the whole tractor to get in, and then you can basically start again, trenching again. But if I was going to do that, I might as well go ahead and use the bucket and dig that full amount. And you can see right here, this is how much I've got done. The plow is working, but no matter what I do here, I can't get it to really go much deeper. But it does work. It definitely bites in though, and as you can see here, I get both rear wheels spinning, locking the differential or whatever they call that, so that they're both going, and it spins. But in that case, I just kind of raise the plow a little bit, and then keep going and drop it back down. So that's all you can do. And look at this. Just like I said before, every time I dig here on this property, I find metal. Imagine that sticking through my tire. It's crazy. And you can I even found like a little foot-long chain that was all in the ground, rusted up and everything. It's just amazing of the stuff that was left here. That's why I try anytime I can to go ahead and pick up everything I see. That includes plastic, that includes metal, everything I see. Anyway, here's the tractor. Using the bucket on it to go ahead and scoop out that last bit that I couldn't really get. I mean, I could loosen it with the plow, but I couldn't really do anything to actually get it out of there. I guess either the sides were too steep or the plow was just not hitting in that general direction and it just left this bit, which is fine. It works fine. In this case, I can actually use the tractor, but further on, just beyond the tractor, I couldn't because that's where my garden starts and I have garlic planted there already. So I couldn't actually do anything. See the size of that rock? It's crazy. Anyway, so since I can't go any deeper, I'm going to go ahead and break out the shovel and go ahead and do the rest by hand. This isn't that bad, just a matter of going through, and I end up doing like 2 shovels wide for the first pass, and then once I did about a few feet back, then I would go back forward and then start digging in that same spot where I started and dig 1 shovel deeper. So it basically ends up being 2 shovels deeper by the time I get done, at least in most places. Everything's good to go except for this right here. This is luckily the only major rock I found in here. Well, it was right in my path, so I went ahead and go ahead and pull all the dirt off of it so I can see the extent of it. And then I use this bar to try to tap down and break it and pull it up, anything I can do. And it worked a little bit, but for the most part I just got like this piece right here, this little piece. So then I had to go and break out the big guns. Got this pickaxe here, or actually I guess this is just a pick. And smart man would actually get some safety glasses on, and you'll see in just a second why. I mean, it's doing the job, it's pulling out some pretty good chunks. But as I'm using it, you can see right here anyway, this thing goes right up towards the camera. And of course, if it can fly 5-6 feet or so and go up to the camera, it can definitely go right into my eye. So should be wearing safety glasses. But since I'm not a smart man, we'll go ahead and keep going. And look at what I do here. Go and break the handle. This thing, I was crazy. I paid like, I think it was $5 for it at an antique store. And it works better than all the other picks that I've come across. And it just happens that the handle broke. So I have to get another handle or make one. It doesn't matter because I think this is luckily the only place that I needed it. So I just keep on digging. Anybody ask how you can do this? It's easy to do, just one bite at a time, like eating an elephant. So here from this end, you can definitely see that bit that was left that I couldn't get out with the tractor. So as I go down through here, I have to first dig out that part and then go ahead and dig the same amount down that I'm digging the rest of the way. And here's the difference that I haven't told you guys about. I decided to go ahead and put the spigot right here at the edge of the garden, just in a little bit. That way I hopefully won't hit it with the tractor. And here I'm just driving down the post. Well, driving down, I guess is the, I don't know, 1/4-inch pipe or something like that I'm using, or not 1/4-inch in plumbing, but 1/4-inch thick pipe. It's pretty thick stuff. But that's what I'm going to use to kind of support this. And here I'm just trying to get the depth right. This one doesn't have a real long neck, I guess. Well, it doesn't really have a long pipe on it. So I figure this is good enough. I tape it to it, keep dumping the sand down in there so I can get it to the bottom of the pipe that's going to come off of the spigot here. And it takes quite a bit of sand. I mean, this is 2 buckets full. I think in the end, after I get done doing all the plumbing for this, I think I go ahead and put 2 more buckets full. And you really need it because the water has to drain. So it won't drain very well, or at least very fast, through regular dirt. So put the sand down in there so it will. Go ahead and unhook this thing because now we got to go ahead and do some plumbing for it. Pull the spigot off. That's the reason why I just taped it to it, because I knew I'd be taking it right back off. I'm going to put this over here on this makeshift table on this cart that I fixed up a while back, which I use all the time. And then we'll get ready to do some plumbing. So the fitting that was on there, and you can't see it, I took it off. It was actually already screwed on. It was a 90-degree elbow, and it had a piece of pipe that was coming out of it, but they cut it off right at the fitting. So you couldn't really do anything. So I took it all off, and now we're getting ready to thread some more pipe onto it, or another fitting onto it. In this case, it's just going to be a threaded elbow. Threaded on one side and female 3/4 inch on the other. And here you just get it started real well. When you do the pipe tape, well, whenever you do the pipe tape though, make sure that you do it in this orientation, that you're wrapping it away from you starting at the top. And that will make sure that it's correct. And you start at the threads at the bottom of it, towards the very end of the threads, and work your way up. And that way, whenever you start threading this on, it won't actually unthread your tape. And then we just measure our pipe. This is just a quick measurement here. Go ahead and cut it off. And later on, I end up not using the Sawzall or this reciprocating saw very much because it is dull. But as I'm deburring it, flip it over to the other side, which I haven't touched, and realize that whoever cut it the last time went all crazy with it. So the problem with using used pipe, or at least previously used pipe. And you can see that is, well, you probably can't see it, but it is crooked as hell. We'll put it down here and go ahead and cut that off. And then we'll get ready to put our fittings on. With every fitting that I put on here, I go and you're supposed to put on like a pipe cleaner, and then you're supposed to put on the primer, and then you're supposed to put on the glue. And I've skipped the step of the cleaner, and I'm kind of just using the primer for that purpose. But yeah, I just put this purple primer on there, and then I followed up with the glue, which was clear, but ends up being purple because I don't let this primer dry completely, which is my fault. But with every fitting I do this. I don't show it on most of the other ones though, because I mean, if you got it once, you got it the rest of the time. So when you do this, make sure and put both the primer and the glue on both sides, the male and female sides of everything. That way you're making sure to get a nice, good, clean connection. And I hate this. These things right here, I had to mangle one of these one time to get it open, and this is straight from the store. But I don't know what they do. I guess the glue kind of glues them shut a little bit. But this one came open. I actually literally had to take like a can opener and cut one open one time just to use it. And then I took it back to the store and told them about it. I was like, look, this is ridiculous that I had to do this. There's no way I can save it now. So when you put these fittings on, you just push them all the way on till they stop going in, and then you turn them by, I don't know, about a third of the way or a quarter of the way. And now right there really makes a good tight connection. Then go ahead and tape our pipe back on. Go ahead and tape our faucet back on. And then get down here and prep the pipe and the fitting and go ahead and put this one in. Now the one that I put on there before, that was the 90 that's going to go down the main length of this. So now all I got to do here is put this pipe in and then make sure as I'm doing it that I have it angled up just a little bit. So after I push it in, I can turn it that quarter turn or so, and have it facing the direction I need it to go. If not, it could be facing straight up or something, and that's not what you want. So here on the other end of the trench, this is the pipe that's going to feed our water. Here's where I make my mistakes. Well, many mistakes, I guess. So I go ahead and cut it, and I think I get enough of it out to so that I can put the T in there, and probably would have worked had I done things the way I did it in the very end. But I go and put the T on, pry it away just enough to be able to put the T on there, and then you need flexibility in the pipe to be able to raise it all the way up, get yourself enough clearance to be able to put the other end into the T, and then lower it back down, and as you do that, it'll kind of push everything back in. That would have been the smart way to do it. And of course, I didn't do it that way. So I put this piece on, and then afterwards I think about it, and finally decide, you know what, I'm gonna dig this away a little bit, give myself some clearance. It will give myself a little bit of flexibility in the pipe. And then I'm gonna put on a coupling and a piece of PVC, a short piece. And doing that, I thought, okay, that will give me, basically correct the error that I had to begin with. But it turns out that I didn't leave myself enough room to actually really connect into the T. So here we go. I take my coupling, go ahead and glue my piece of PVC in, kind of short piece. And but if I'd have done this right, I still probably could have made this work even. But the problem is, when I started putting this all together, I put it down there and pushed the PVC or pushed the coupling on far enough that I didn't have any room to be able to bring the end of the pipe into the T. I mean, I did, just barely. And as you can see here, I mean, I dug out even more of the pipe so that I would have the flexibility I would need. Problem is, I didn't have enough length on that short piece of pipe to go into the T like it needed to. But try it like this, see if it works. Once we got the T in, we can go ahead and start with the rest of the length of pipe. Anyway, we just keep moving on. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, we'll figure it out later. PVC fittings are not that expensive. We'll just go back to it and try it again if we need to. So here's a short piece that I already had. Go ahead and put that in, and then go ahead and start with our 20-foot sections of pipe. And they have male fitting on, or male end and a female end. And of course, I just put a female end on there, move down to the next one, and connect the next one. They all go in line just like that. As I get up here to the end, I have plenty of length on the pipe. So I just bend it down, get a rough estimate of where it needs to go, where I need to cut it. Go ahead and cut it. That way I can make it go the rest of the way down into this trench, and then see where it goes. And you can't really tell, but it actually is still a little too long. So I end up cutting it again, and then go ahead and just glue it up. So now that it's glued, go turn the water back on and see where my problem was. And sure enough, just like I thought, that part going into the T is not made a very good connection. So I go in here and I cut just on the other side of that coupling, and you can tell. I mean, it just, that pipe ends up coming right out of the T like that, which is good because that means I can reuse the T. All right, so if you see up there on the left, there's a white piece of pipe up there, and that is actually what I'm going to use to solve this problem. This is a 3/4 inch compression coupling, and what it ends up doing is you're able to slide it over the pipes. That way, in the case that the pipes there's not enough room in between the two pipes or whatever to put an actual fitting and still make it fit, like the problem that we had, then you can take this and slide it over one side of the pipe, and then put the pipes together, basically make the ends meet again, and then slide it back so that it goes and connects up to both pipes. It consists of a plastic tube with two ends that screw off and on. Once you get them off, you can see inside there's a rubber, like a wide O-ring or something, and it slides on. Like you put one of the ends on the pipe, like I'm doing here, and then you slide the other end on, and then you put the two rubber bushings or compression bushings or whatever on each end, and then you just slide the middle tube, which is basically just a sleeve. Slide that on, kind of get it started a little bit on this one side here, and then once it's started, go ahead and push it the rest of the way on, so that then you can get your other pipe ready to go. Once it's down in place, then you pull it back across, and then center everything so that both ends are on each end of the pipes, or each side of each pipe or whatever, and then go ahead and start tightening it all up. And it's a little confusing, but you need to just look up their PVC compression coupler, and you can actually see exactly how this works. Here I'm using a pipe wrench, or 2 pipe wrenches really, to be able to tighten this up. You don't normally have to do this. You do need to make sure they're tight, but not this tight. I just need this because it has ridges that stick out off the side of the thing so that you can grip it, and it ends up hitting the pipe next to it. So I need the wrenches to be able to overcome that. So it just basically makes them slide over as I'm tightening. And I don't tighten it too much. I just enough to where make sure everything's tight like it needs to be. You can see the water's flowing again now that we turned it back on. Now the only thing we do have leaking is the actual weep hole that's at the bottom of this thing. And that's what I was talking about. This is where it needs to actually let the water out of the pipe, out of the faucet, every time you turn it off. That way, the only part that has water in it is below ground. And this is where you need to have all the sand. So I have the sand that was in here to begin with, and of course I go and dump 2 more buckets full of sand on here, and then go ahead and start filling in the hole. Of course I do wait, now that everything's not leaking, and you can see here, definitely not leaking. I leave it open for a day or two just to make sure, so I can go back and look and make sure nothing's leaking, and then I go ahead and start covering in the hole. Outro. Well, there you go. Can you use a plow to be able to dig a trench? You can use it to dig some of the trench. It doesn't really work for all of it. Just doesn't go deep enough. And if I wanted to go any further, I guess I would really probably just use the bucket only. Now, would I recommend anybody else to do it that way? Not really. Maybe the time that you could have saved you could have just used that to use a trencher or something like that. But those are expensive, you know. you don't have the money, you use what you got. This right here, I got a plow that I can keep. I can use it for whatever I need to in the future. And, you know, and I can sell it if I want to. It should be worth about what it's, you know, about what I paid for it, maybe a little less, but, you know, I used it too. So it did its job. So it's hard work, but anybody could do it. You just got to take your time, you know, one scoop at a time. I've finally got it, and then went and go ahead and fill it all back in. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look pretty right now, and I'm hoping that it will get better soon. Like the grass will start growing and stuff through it soon, because I need to drive through that area with the tractor to be able to drop off bales of hay for my pigs. So we'll see. If not, then it's going to be a little more difficult. I think maybe the next videos, or some of the next videos, I might actually get into the greenhouse and start putting this battery to work. We'll see. I need to make some controls. Got some of the stuff, and we'll go ahead and see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, we'll try something else, but you never know until you try. Anyway, if you like what you saw, hit the like button, hit the bell notification so you see the videos in the future. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, y'all take care.